Hello everyone, welcome to SIUK India webinar. Thank you for joining us today. We are now live with Manchester University. Today we have Callum, Chaitanya, Alison, Obooks, Jasmine and Rabia with us who will let us know more about this special webinar session. Please feel free to post all the questions in the chat box on the right. We will answer all the questions after the presentation during the Q&A session. So let's start. Over to you, Callum.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. We're calling today from Manchester. It's a very sunny day here in Manchester, which is nice. One of the things that we would like to share with you today is some of the concepts that we have with what we call management of projects. We think that we're quite unique in what we do, and I think that we've got a long history and a very strong legacy. So what we want to do today is to try and share with you exactly who we are. I think it's quite important, if you're interested in coming to Manchester, that you really understand where we were, where we are now, and where we want to be, because that's going to be part of the journey that you take with us in the next 12 months if you come to Manchester. So first of all, I'd just like to introduce one of my colleagues, Dr. Obooks Ujawuma. Obooks is the academic lead for postgraduate recruitment in our group. Do you want to say a quick few words, Obooks?
Thank you, Callum. Warm welcome to one and all. It's a pleasure to be here. I hope we'll have some meaningful interactions as the time goes.
Great. Thank you very much, Obooks. Oh, let me dare. And my name is Callum Kidds. Like Obooks, I'm a senior lecturer in the Management of Projects Research Group at the University of Manchester School of Engineering. And I'm also the head of education for the discipline of engineering and project management within the School of Engineering. Part of my role is to try and develop project management in a broader capacity, not just within project management, but also within the general engineering community. We teach a number of different engineering subjects, as I'm sure you can imagine, across undergraduate and postgraduate level. And it's very important that all those engineering disciplines get an idea of how we manage the introduction of new technology, how we manage innovation, how we manage new design. So very much a management aspect within engineering. But of course, a lot of that is down to projects. And I think that one of the things that has typified the world of projects in the last few years is how we define projects. And that's really where we came into the whole picture at the University of Manchester way back in the 1960s. So I was born in the 1960s. Your parents may well have been born in the 1960s. But in terms of project management was born in Manchester as an academic discipline. And that's something that we're very, very proud of. So what I want to try and share with you today is a little bit about that passion and a little bit about that journey, because when you come to Manchester, you'll become part of that ongoing community and part of that ongoing journey. And what we find with a lot of our students is that the passion that we have as academics rubs off. It makes a very passionate community of students. We're going to be very lucky today. I think the student has just left because we had a bit of a problem with the connection of where he was, so he's going to move. But he's a scholarship student that's currently studying on one of our MSc project management routes. And just talking to him earlier, he's really passionate about what he's doing, and he's really proud to be here. And that's really nice to know, because it means that the passion that we have for the discipline rubs off on the students. And that, of course, makes for a great learning environment. Okay, let's make a start. Something that you may know and you will know once you start your journey in Manchester is that academics love definitions. Academics love to make bold statements that can be discussed and reviewed and possibly argued, but it's all about taking a stance. This statement comes from a gentleman called Dr. Martin Barnes. And Martin was one of our graduates way back in the 1960s. He did his PhD at the University of Manchester. And for anybody that knows anything about project management, his contribution was quite significant because he created a model as part of his doctoral studies called the Iron Triangle. That's something that you'll become very familiar with when you come to Manchester. It's a basic building block of everything involved in managing a project. Very simple model, but very complex in terms of its application. What's highly significant about Martin Barnes is that he was the world's first PhD student in project management. Now that's a real landmark because that was the real signal that project management is an academic discipline as well as being a practitioner discipline. But Martin is a pragmatist, and Martin is somebody that is not rooted in either theory or practice. So in one of the things that we put into the advertising material for this was that we wanted to get the point across that as an academic institution, we don't teach project management from either a purely theoretical or a purely practitioner basis. It has to be both. It has to be the generation of new ideas, and it has to be the application of those ideas into practice. And I really like this definition that Martin, the statement that Martin put out a number of years ago, that at its most fundamental, project management is about people getting things done. If you're to really typify in one very crisp, clear sentence, what is project management? It's about people getting things done. And we have lots of new ideas, we have lots of new frameworks and models, and theories and applications, but primarily it's about people getting things done. I think it's safe to say that in the last 30 or 40 years, project management started off quite slow in terms of its application, but certainly in the last decade, project management has become arguably the most important organizational structure for getting work done. And we've seen lots of efforts over the years of organizations that have worked in projects and developed bigger projects into programs and develop those into portfolios. And these are all concepts that you will become more familiar with, but really their basic building block of a portfolio or a program is a project. And more organizations now around the world are starting to organize themselves around projects. So projects have become arguably the most complex type of organizational structure in the past 50 years. But the most important thing is that managing those projects isn't just about profit anymore. Managing those projects well is about survival. And I think one big lesson that we've learned around the world in the last 2 years is that nothing is certain in life. Nothing is certain. You have to plan for eventualities. You have to plan for the unknowns. You have to think ahead of what you could do, what you might do, what you possibly should try, might try, could try. And I think that one of the things that's typified the change in the world of the project manager in the last couple of years is we need project managers that can think. I know it's a big American term and American management literature, but I quite like the concept of thinking outside of the box. And you've probably come across this statement before. But thinking outside of the box means thinking outside of the normal. We get very content about working in an environment where we do the same things all the time. We might complain that it's a bit boring, but we become very complacent. We quite like the fact that we know what the boundaries are. We know what we're supposed to be doing. We know what's going to happen tomorrow. But that's not real life, is it? And look at the last 2 years. Look at the changes in the world over the last 2 years. We don't know what the world tomorrow is going to look like. We struggle to know what the world today looks like. So the world of project management is about trying to make sense of things. Some of those things are people. Some of those things are resources. Some of those things are other organizations. But the really highly complex world of project management is how we manage all those relationships and what we could do if things don't go to plan. There are lots of definitions of project plans in the world. And I think that one of the things that they all have in common at the moment is that no plan is set in stone. when you establish a plan, a project plan for something, as soon as you publish that plan and agree it, it's now out of date, and you need to think about changing that plan. So I think that the world of projects today and moving forward is going to be much more about thinking. It's going to be much more about evaluating possibilities rather than looking at the world as if it was set in stone. So projects are changing. And that's why, as educators, we have to think about how we develop skill sets in our future graduates to best prepare them for that world of change. Now, at present, there are well over 30. We did a search a couple of years ago, and I think we found just over 30 master's courses in the UK. I think there's probably a few more than that now that teach project management. I came into the academic world in the 1990s, which again is probably around about the time that you were born. It puts things into perspective, doesn't it? But I came from the aerospace world, and I worked for a number of major aerospace organizations on some highly significant aircraft projects, one of which was the wing design for the A380, which many of you may have had the opportunity to fly. So I had a strong background in the application and the practitioner side of projects. But I also did a lot of work with universities and trying to develop new ideas for projects. So I was quite intrigued as to what it meant to be an academic. And I moved into academia in the mid-1990s. I came to Manchester in 1999, which again is quite a long time ago now. But I never left because the Manchester experience of managing projects was quite unique. So there are over 30 courses in project management around in the country, and they will all meet expectations of students. But what I want to explore is what makes Manchester different. I've already explained that I came here in 1999. I can't remember when O-Books came. O-Books came quite later, but O-Books is still here as well. So O-Books obviously finds that challenge interesting too. And I think that that's true of all our academic community here at Manchester. We like being here because we like the freedom and the ideas to explore things that are new, that are exciting, things that we think are changing the world of project management. So let's explore a little bit about what makes Manchester different. I quite like the fact that we have a long legacy. And I'm going to share that legacy with you. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in doing it, but I think it's important as new students that you understand where we were as well as where we are now, because that has a big bearing on who we are as Manchester. In the 1960s, there was a university called UMIST, and UMIST was the University of Manchester Institute of Science and Technology. And in the early 2000s, UMIST and the University of Manchester merged. Interesting, UMIST used to award University of Manchester degrees because at one time it was an institute of that university. But it's historically correct to use the term UMIST here. We are one institution now. And we did used to work as a single institution in many courses in engineering as well. But in the 1960s, UMIST was the first university in the world to deliver short courses in project management to industry. And that's quite significant because what it meant was that there was interest in the practitioner community to learn more about projects. It used to be in the 1950s and 1960s that engineers managed projects. They didn't have much experience, they didn't have much training, but what they did have was a project to manage. There was a group of construction companies came to UMIST and asked if there was anything that they could provide to educate and train their development of project managers. So that was the first time that a university had formally got involved in delivering courses in project management. Then in the 1970s, early 1970s, UMIST awarded the world's first PhD in project management, which, as I've said to you before, was Martin Barnes. Martin joined UMIST in the late 1960s and was awarded his degree, I think it was either 1971 or 1972. And after Martin got his PhD, there were several more people that joined us to study for PhDs. And that was really the big start of an academic view of project management. In the 1980s, UMIST appointed the first 2 professors in the world specifically to teach and research in project management. One of those gentlemen, Stephen Wern, is still with us today. He's 94 years old this year. Incredible, isn't it? Still very bright and aware and still trying to change the world of project management. He's a really passionate guy. And I hope that if you do come to Manchester, you get the chance to meet him, because he was one of the professors that really inspired me when I first came here. But again, highly significant that it was the first university to appoint 2 professors of project management. In the 1990s, UMIST delivered the first integrated management spine in our undergraduate engineering degrees. What that meant was that we had first, second, third, and fourth year subjects in project management. It was basically engineering management, but it was based around projects. So in the 1990s, we felt that it was important to develop undergraduate management education. So when people graduated and went out to industry, they understood the basic building blocks of managing projects. And that became something that was very attractive to industry. We, for many, many years, have held a very high status on the number of graduates that get employability in engineering disciplines in the UK. It's very, very, very high still. But a lot of that is down to the fact that industry likes our graduates because they know that they've had a good mix of theory and practice and opportunity to think. And that is critically important. In the 1990s, we had a professor here called Peter Morris, and he was probably the biggest influential character in our recent history. I joined in the late 1990s, and I came here because of Peter. Peter wrote a book, and the book was as a result of several years of study, largely around why do projects fail? And he came up with the idea that projects failed not because they didn't manage themselves well, it was basically because they didn't align themselves well, that they weren't managing the things that they needed to manage. So in the mid-1990s, Peter Morris came up with the concept of management of projects. Now that might look to some people as just changing around words, project management, management of projects, but it's highly significant because what Peter was saying was that project management is about control. It's about having a plan and then working to that plan. And if things don't go to plan, then make changes, which is great as long as we have something that follows roughly the plan. But what happens when we have a pandemic? What happens when the world order changes around us? Management of projects is much broader than just project management. It's about managing all the things that affect your project, both internally and externally. And it's really about how we deliver, how we complete, how we satisfy customers. That's much broader than just project management. So he was a hugely influential character. So now we can see the introduction of the name management of projects. And that's something that you'll see often when you look at the University of Manchester's delivery in MSc courses. We talk an awful lot about management of projects. In 2000, UMIST launched a groundbreaking MSc for experienced project management practitioners. And again, we re-established ourselves as being people that were listening to the practitioner community, to the outside employers, future employers. And we developed the concept. We didn't invent, but we developed the concept of reflective practice in education. And that was getting people to think about experiences and how we apply those experiences to new situations. I came in to direct that program. So my job when I arrived in 1999 was to design a new and innovative program in project management. That was hugely significant for me because it gave me the opportunity to try things that I thought would be beneficial to the community. A lot of those reflective practice experiences are now embedded in the full-time MSc Management of Projects. And in 2000, we also rebranded our flagship, which is the course that you hopefully will be applying for and attending. And we called it MSc Management of Projects. So we have been at the forefront for a long time of changing things. So I think we can justifiably lay claim to be the home of project management education. I think that our history puts us in a very good position to make that claim. Through our efforts in bringing in emerging issues such as sustainability, zero carbon, management ethics into projects, education, we continue to push the boundaries of what others see as the norm. And I think that's really important for your students. There's a huge difference between doing a really good MSc program that gives you some ideas, as opposed to an MSc program that changes you as a person. And one of the things that we are quite proud of in our history, our long history of delivering project management education, is that we don't just provide ideas and theory and case studies and materials. What we're really interested in is how we change you as an emerging project manager. How do we prepare you for the challenges that you have ahead? So it's not just about the technical aspects of the course. This is about changing your behaviors and changing the way you think, changing the way you see projects. Remember, management of projects is about perception. It's about looking around you to see what we're not managing, not what we are managing, because we often do that really well, but it's about what we're missing. That's the big challenge in the future of managing projects. It's about looking around and thinking, what do we do now? What could we do? So if we take a step back and we look at a definition of project management, so this is the traditional definition of project management. This comes from the Association of Project Managers, which is our professional body here in the UK. Project management is the application of processes, methods, skills, knowledge, and experience to achieve a specific project objective. Project management has deliverables that are constrained to a finite timescale and budget. So if you look at that, you get an impression that it's about planning for something and then controlling it. To a certain extent, that is fundamental in project management. We still teach that. That is something that even though we call our concept of management of projects, at the very heart, at the very core of what we teach is still that definition of project management. And that's really important because those are really strict fundamentals of what you will do in any environment, anywhere in the world. But we believe that you have to do more than that. So that's the basic definition of project management. There are some criticisms of traditional project management. Some are valid and some are arguable. But if we look at the traditional types of criticism of project management development, historically, project management has always been about control. Control of people, control of money, control of resources. And control is really important. But you also have to know that what you're controlling are the right things. One of the criticisms over the years of traditional project management is that it overlays a lot of control over things, whether you need to control them or not. You've got to keep asking the questions, what do we need to control and why? Why do we need to control it? What are we not controlling? So we shouldn't just be controlling for controlling's sake. We should be controlling because it's the right things to do. The second point is something that I'm quite passionate about. There's still an overlying assumption that there's one way of managing a project. You know, there is a definition of a project, not just project management, but the definition of a project is that a project is a transient activity. And it's a unique and one-off activity. So transient means that it comes and goes. A one-off activity means that it has a start date and it has an end date. But because all projects are unique, there can't be one way of managing a project. And that's where we need to develop skill sets in project managers to identify the most appropriate ways of managing projects. And that's what's really important. So you can see now we're getting back to people, right? Remember the definition, that statement that I put up at the very beginning from Martin Barnes? It's about people getting work done. Basically, that's what a project is. It's about defining something that needs to be done. Project management is getting it done. There can't be one way of managing projects. If organizations tell you they have the one way, then they have insights that the rest of the world doesn't. The reality is that we need to think about project management. We need to think about how we apply. You need to think about how appropriate certain tools and techniques are. It's all about developing the project manager, not just giving the project manager documentation to follow. Across all sectors in business, there's still a large percentage of projects that fail. Yeah, all books would probably confirm this, but I read a lot of research into why projects fail and how many projects fail. You know, in government projects around the world, the success rate isn't good. The success rate is still under 30%, 35% of projects that complete on time, on cost, to the right level of quality. If that's really the success rate, then maybe we're not doing things right. Maybe there is opportunity here to do things better. And that's really what inspires a lot of people to think beyond traditional project management. So let's have a look at defining the management of projects. This is the concept that Peter Morris developed in the 1980s and 1990s. And again, he was the reason that I came to Manchester. He was the guy that I thought could really change my future. And he did. I was right. So I'm really, really proud to have worked with Peter. But he did change the world of project management. Many of the critical success factors that have been researched in project-based studies exist outside of the remit of traditional project management. Remember, I said before that traditional project management is about planning and control. As well as having control of people and budgets and resources within the project, to effectively manage a project, we need to be able to influence the strategic factors that ultimately decide whether a project succeeds or fails. Peter's concept of management of projects was largely about looking around at the factors that we're not controlling. And quite often, these are things that project managers never get involved in. But remember, I've already said that for major projects, some of them at government level, the success rate of projects is really low. So now you begin to start thinking, maybe they're low because project managers aren't getting involved in the right things at the right time. Interesting, because that's the very heart of what Peter tried to do in the 1980s, was to get a handle on why are projects failing? What are we not controlling? The strategic factors of managing projects, organizational versus project strategies. Every organization has a strategy. Every project should have a project strategy. If you were to look at the organizational strategy and the project strategy, chances are you would find what we call a misalignment. They're not trying to do the same things. Quite often the organizational strategy moves in one direction, the project strategy is rooted in another direction. As soon as you have that misalignment, you set yourself up for failure. Project managers traditionally don't get involved in organizational strategy. Sadly, project managers quite often don't get involved in project strategy. All project managers should have a foot in the strategic domain of an organization, as well as the operational domain. There are also regulatory standards and legislation that force us into different directions. As project managers, you need to engage with those standards and those legal directions and those legal implications. Because if you don't, then something is going to happen in the project that will cause the project to either fail or stop until things are changed. All project managers should be involved in the development and impact statements of standards and legislation. So it's really important as project managers that we're not only seen, sorry, that was just something came on there. We're not only seen as people that work inside a project, we're also people that work around the project. Remember, management of projects is the bigger picture. It's not the micro view, it's the macro view. There's partnerships and funding. Those are things that, again, project managers traditionally don't usually get involved in, but have a huge impact on managing projects. And there's the emerging areas of sustainability and environmental assessment and management ethics. These are things that we have a lot of experience in teaching at Manchester. But again, they will have a huge impact on projects of the future. And I've put at the bottom stakeholder mapping because quite often we look at stakeholders. Stakeholders are people that have an influence or are influenced by your project. Project managers tend to manage the stakeholders internally. And usually they're pretty good because they're people that are committed. But what about the stakeholders that are not part of your project? What about the stakeholders that maybe don't understand your project? They have a big influence sometimes over what you do. Good project management is about identifying who these people are, working with them, engaging with them, making sure that everybody understands what we're trying to achieve and agree a way forward. Now, I've put this diagram up. It's quite a complex diagram, but if you turn your head 45 degrees to the side, you'll see that there's a number of units. First thing that you'll notice at the bottom on the left-hand side is that what we call the management of project MSc is in fact 4 different programs. There's the management of projects, which is quite general. There's commercial project management. There's engineering project management. And there's construction project management. Now, all of them have courses that are common to all 4. But the commercial project management, engineering project management, and construction project management also allow you to take optional units that mean that you can specialize in commercial or engineering or construction. So really the message I'm trying to give you at the moment is that there is a lot of opportunity within what we call the MSc management of projects to specialize, or you can generalize. You can take a very broad perspective. So don't think when you come here that you're limited to just doing the units that we think you should do. This is about your choice. This is part of your future. We're here to help you make good decisions about where you want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time. We want to be part of your journey just as much as I'm sure you want to be part of ours. So if you have a look at the top, the unit codes that are difficult to read until you turn your head, but all I wanted to do really was to give you an idea of the sorts of units that we run. So you'll see things like management of projects, people and organizations, but also conflict management. That's quite unique. There's not many organizations that run courses in conflict management and dispute resolution as part of projects. Project finance, you'll probably find in a lot of projects. Environmental assessment. One of the big strengths that we have here at Manchester is that we have the Tyndall Centre, which is one of the world's leading research groups in environmental and sustainability management. So there are opportunities to go to courses and take units that are run by specialists that are actively engaged at the moment in working with governments around the world to change not just the world of managing projects, but to change the world. That's quite exciting. But of course, it's really important for you as an emerging project manager to realize what the impact will be on managing projects. There's a unit called applied project management, and that's about practitioner perspectives. You can't apply theory. Theory is not there to be applied. Theory is there to help you develop new ideas. So applied project management is how do we take those ideas and actually put them into practice? So we, as part of this unit, we bring in people that are active in the project management community. And you'll get firsthand experience from these people about what works and sometimes even what doesn't work. And that's really important too. But you'll see commercial management, innovation management, risk management. So there's contract management. There's lots and lots of things in there that will open up your eyes to the broader view of management of projects. So what I'm trying to give you here is a bit of an insight into what we teach that's over and beyond what I would call traditional project management. This is designed to get you to think. You'll notice I keep using the word think because it's really important, I think, as graduates, that you have the ability to think outside of the box. What if? It's the what ifs that make you special. the ability to see things that other students or other graduates can't, the ability to not be constrained by somebody telling you you have to do something one way. You do not have to do something one way. Always question reality. So let's put a little bit of that into perspective. Arguably, the biggest global story of our recent lifetime has been the COVID-19 pandemic. It's affected every aspect of our lives. It's affected education, because in the last couple of years, we delivered remotely, which wasn't a great experience for any of us, but it necessitated the fact that we couldn't bring people to Manchester. You, of course, will be coming to Manchester and will be part of a vibrant community of people that engage with each other face to face. But the pandemic taught us a lot of hard lessons. And one of the big lessons that the pandemic taught us was that you cannot plan effectively for tomorrow or next week or next month or next year without considering a plan B. What if? What if there's another pandemic? What if something else happened? How would we continue? And you know, businesses are quite resilient, and a lot of businesses changed really quickly. And that's a testimony of the people, not so much of the business itself, but it's a testimony of the people that worked in those businesses that got together and just thought about how we could do something different. One of the most influential successes, I think, of the whole lockdown, the whole COVID-19 experience was the design, the development, and the delivery of viable vaccines. Now, what's really interesting from a project management perspective is if there's organizations that follow traditional project management methods, the outcomes would likely not have been so influential. We would probably not have had vaccines delivered on time. We would probably not have had vaccines delivered in a fashion that allowed people to be vaccinated so quickly. Project management traditionally is there to control. It's not traditionally there to innovate. So management of projects post-COVID, lessons learned here, is every project is unique. Don't look for lessons from past projects. They're interesting, but don't let them guide you. Don't let them push you into thinking we've always done it this way. We would not have had a vaccine delivered so quickly and so effectively if we'd followed the traditional path of pharmaceutical projects, because they take a long time. They take a long time to approve as well as to develop. They change the rules in the pharmaceutical companies. That's not traditional project management. That's management of projects. We learned that collaboration is more effective than competition. People working together means that we can do things better. We learned that strategy develops effective plans, not the other way around. We don't have a plan and then develop a strategy. Project managers have to understand strategy. They have to be engaged and be active and at the heart of all strategic developments. Agility should be pursued where it adds most value. Doesn't mean that we have agile processes everywhere, but it means that should we need to have agility, we should choose to put agility in there. Decision-making needs to be placed on the ground. It's not about being in an office 5,000 miles away. It's about giving decision-making capabilities to project managers that are on the ground. They're face-to-face every day with the people that need to be managed. So decision-making needs to be where we gain the most value from making those decisions. And the last one I quite like is if the rules don't apply, change the rules. One of the things that COVID has taught us is that it's rule breakers quite often that are changing the world, not rule makers. Rule breakers are people that not necessarily go out and say, we're not doing it this way, but rule breakers tend to be people that say, there has to be a better way. There has to be something that we're not doing. There has to be something that we're not managing. So why study management of projects rather than project management? I think going forward, employers will progressively seek graduates who can identify and manage the factors that have the most impact on outcomes. I think going forward, one of the things that will change in the world of recruitment, especially for project managers, is that companies will look for people that do not follow the rest of the field. They do not think that there is one way of managing a project. I think that the graduates that will do well in the future world of project management are the ones that can demonstrate that they have ideas and that they can think as well as act. Thinking is one of the greatest skills we have. And I think that, honestly, that's our biggest challenge. I think that as universities, that is something that we need to do, and we need to do well. Manchester has done it for many years. Going back to 2000, we changed the way we developed practitioners as well as graduates. And that was through reflective practice. And it was making sense of what we already know, but then challenging the future with that new knowledge. So we've got more than 20 years experience in doing that. And we're continuing to change the world. And I think that's the exciting part of Manchester. We have a strong legacy, but we're not living on that legacy. We're not people that say we were people that 50, 60 years ago invented something or developed something. We're people that every decade are changing project management education. I hope that's been of interest to you, because I think it's quite an exciting venture. I think it's something that we see as a journey. It's not something that we see as being completed. And I would like to think that you possibly will be part of that journey, and that you'll be part of the next generation of Manchester graduates that moves everything forward. What I want to do now is I want to pass you over to a colleague of mine who is currently a student on the program, Chaitanya. And he is going to talk about scholarships. Now, we have room at the end of the schedule for questions, and I'm quite happy to answer anything that you want then. But at the moment, I will pass you over to Chaitanya.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Callum Kidd, for this lovely introduction. And before I start, I would like to thank the Faculty of Science and Engineering, and as well as Jasmine, for reaching out to me and giving me this opportunity to speak to all of you. It's truly a great pleasure and an honor to be here. So before I start, I would like to give a brief introduction about me. So I'm from Bangalore in India, which is in the state of Karnataka. I was born and brought up there. And I graduated with a degree in civil engineering from the BMS College of Engineering in Baswangudi in 2018. And after that, I went on to work for Tata Consulting Engineers in their project management consultancy business unit. I worked there for around 3 years, and right now I'm pursuing my MSc in construction project management at the University of Manchester. So roughly after around 2 years of working, I had a question, what next? The work was becoming quite monotonous, and I was in a state of a dilemma, actually. So at that point of time, I had a few questions in mind. And I'm sure many of you who are attending this webinar here would be in the same situation as I was 2 years ago. So the doubts in my mind were, should I change my organization? Should I pursue a higher education? If I do, what should I do? Should I do an MBA or an MSc? Should I study in India, or should I go outside? And in case I go outside, what course should I do, and what university should I pursue that course in? So after a lot of deliberation and thinking and talking to people, I decided to pursue MSc in construction project management at the University of Manchester. Now I would like to talk about the reasons why I actually selected the UK and University of Manchester in particular. First of all, UK is a really beautiful country. I have been here for 6 months, and I've thoroughly enjoyed just watching the country. It's got beautiful parks and places to visit. Second of all, it's a 1-year course. So as mentioned before, I had a work experience of 3 years. And when you're working and when you decide to go back to university, you really don't want to spend a lot of time doing assignments or writing exams, etc. But you really want that extra bit of qualification, which would help you progress in your career. So a 1-year course seemed to be perfect. The UK is also offering the post-study work visa, which was a great boost for me to consider the UK. so that I can look for working opportunities after my MSc. Also, as far as construction is concerned, the UK and India have a lot of similar working methodologies or procedures. So the work experience what I had in India, I thought it would be it would match the skills that are required to work here in the UK. Now, let me talk about why did I choose the University of Manchester in specific. So it's a highly ranked university with great minds, to be honest. And the number of people that I met here who are really smart, and learning doesn't essentially happen only inside the class, but outside the class as well. So just meeting and interacting with people really helps you a lot and helps you develop as a personality. It's very diverse. You have people from all over the world coming here to study. So you get to learn about a lot of different cultures. You get to meet people from other countries, and you eventually you enjoy spending time with them. The university has amazing research and academic facilities. So if you're not just interested in working, and if you want to continue doing a PhD or something like that, then the facilities offered here are really good. Also, another important factor which I considered the University of Manchester is because it is accredited, the course which I'm pursuing, that is MSc in Construction Project Management, is accredited by the RICS and also by the APM. So what happens is that after you graduate and you start working, in case you're aiming to get a chartership, if you have a university or a course which is accredited by this, it really helps in that, and the industry standards are maintained. So what do you learn here, and what am I essentially learning here? So you have excellent professors here like Dr. Callum Kidd over here, who are there to teach you project management. But apart from that, what I personally believe is that this course develops your personality. And I would like to talk about the most important things what I learned here being a student. First of all, you develop your communication skill. So when you're in India, you're basically at a place where you would meet like-minded people. But here what happens is that because of the diversity, you realize the importance of understanding others and also making sure that others understand you. So communication is a very important aspect, and that is what you learn here. Teamwork. So the management of projects the course is designed in such a way that you have a lot of assignments and activities which involve you working in teams. So because of that, you get to interact with a lot of people who are from other countries as well. And you realize that nothing can be done individually. Whatever you do has to be worked in a team. And then you help each other out eventually to achieve the goal of the project. Then comes leadership. So when you're working in teams, eventually one of you might be the leader, and you would learn how to delegate tasks to people, and you would learn to make sure that those people are doing whatever is required for the coursework. But you would also need to understand that you shouldn't hurt someone's ego, because everybody is at the same level exactly. So you would learn to be an effective leader. After this, last but not the least, I would like to talk about time management. So when you're here, you would have multiple assignments to do. Some of you might even consider working part-time, and also it's about creating a balance. You would have to study as well as have some fun going out, traveling, etc. So time management is something what you're essentially going to learn. So all these four things combined are really going to develop your personality. And as Dr. Callum Kidd mentioned, I think it develops the way you think and how to be a better person. Exactly. So these are a few pictures of mine. So as I mentioned, you have a lot of activities where you'll be working in teams. So this is a picture of the people and organizations unit, where we had to develop a video for our coursework, and this is that. So as you can see, you have people from different countries, and just working with them is really amazing. Also, you get an opportunity to take part in various events and activities. So the construction project management MSc here is also works alongside the CIOB, that is the Chartered Institute of Buildings. And they had conducted a competition called as the Tomorrow Leaders competition. And I was fortunate enough to represent the University of Manchester, and my team were the runners up for the event. So you also get to take part in various webinars and seminars which are conducted by the APM or the CIOB or the RSES. So you get, it's an overall industry experience. You're not just focusing on just the coursework and the units, but you also get to know what is happening all around in the industry as well. So also, apart from this, you get to spend a lot of time enjoying the Indian festivals over here. In fact, last week, we had the opportunity to go to Platfield, which is a park nearby, and celebrate Holi. The picture on the left is that. And also during Diwali last year, we all got together, we dressed up in traditional clothes, and then we celebrated Diwali over here. So it is really a lot of fun. And again, as I mentioned, it's about creating a balance between studying and having a good time. And one thing what I've realized over the past 6 months in Manchester is that you'll never really get bored over here. There's not been a single day where I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what to do. You have great places to visit. The one on the top left represents the John Drillins Library over here. Then you have the city center. You could go to Chinatown or even visit the Old Trafford, which is the Manchester United Stadium. If you get bored, or you could just, and if you don't want to do anything, you could just take a walk on Oxford Road, to be honest, because there are times where you would be stressed, or you would not know what to do, or you would, so at that time, just take a walk on Oxford Road. Just when you see a lot of people and have a breath of fresh air, it's really relaxing. So that's another thing which I would highly recommend to you to do. Then you might need to just get used to the rain over here. So coming from India, it's not really a place where it rains a lot from where I stay. So here in Manchester, you just might need to get used to the rain. So, but apart from that, Manchester is a really perfect place for any one of you to be. You could feel free to connect on LinkedIn with me, and I'm sure I'll respond to you. So thank you so much. And if in case you have any further questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, Chaitanya and Professor Callum, for such a knowledgeable presentation. We are now moving towards the Q&A session. The first question the student is asking, hey, if I received conditional offer from the university, what will be the time frame university provided to submit GMAT or IELTS score?
Hi, I'll answer that question. So if you are given a conditional offer, you get given 6 weeks. And in those 6 weeks, it's best to provide what your conditional offer requires.
Thank you, Rabia. The next question. Hey, I want to apply for Project Management Masters. Do you have that course? If yes, then what are the entry requirements?
We have many project management courses. So if you go to our mace.manchester.ac.uk, you manage to see how many MSc project management courses we do. In more particular, if you're more interested in what field of project management you're interested in, you can always go to our website and check out the relevant modules, and our entry requirements are online on the website. But initially, from India applicants, we prefer first with distinction that could equate to a GPA plus UPA, 65% above in percentage.
Thank you, Rabia. The next question, what are the visa and application deadlines?
These are stage deadlines. Rabia, do you have those to hand to share when the next stage deadlines are?
We perform in stage deadlines, but that's only for admission side. But for visas, after we're done with stage 4, which is our last application, which deadlines around in June, at the end of June. So we'll start causes in September for visas, and visas should be done around those times.
Thank you, Rabia. The next question, what is the employability rate for postgraduates?
Well, for employability, Callum or Obux, do you want to talk a little bit in terms about where our graduates are going from this programme?
Yeah, Obux, do you want to take that, or do you want me to give an answer?
Okay, I could chip in. I think in terms of employability, I'm not too sure what the percentage is, but it's quite a very high percentage in terms of the destination of our graduates. For example, I haven't, in my nearly 7 years of teaching on this program, I haven't seen or received any email from any student who is struggling to get an employment after graduation. So they go to places like Airbus, big manufacturing companies in the UK, and that also have global presence in Manchester as well. So employability is quite very, very high. I've also put a link on the chat room there for those who were asking about deadlines in terms of our cutoff dates for admissions. That will also help and also give more indication about what you will need. Thank you. Callum, maybe you want to add to that as well.
Thanks, Obux. Yeah, Obux is quite right. We have a lot of students that join quite well-known organizations like Airbus and British Aerospace and automotive companies. But we also have a lot of students that join smaller organizations. So I think that what's really interesting is that as the world of project management evolves, Manchester graduates have a great step up because they have the heritage of coming from Manchester. I find a lot of students that join quite small consultancy companies or quite small innovative development companies that are looking for somebody to bring new ideas in managing projects. So I think it's safe to say that as graduates of Manchester, you'll find yourselves being attracted towards many different types of organization. So not just the big multinationals, but also the small, dynamic, growing companies. I mean, let's face it, in the last 20 years, companies like Google and Facebook have come from nowhere. These were companies that had 2 or 3 or 5 people involved. So there's an exciting time to get involved in managing projects. And as a Manchester graduate, you will be well prepared to join any type of organization.
Thank you. The next question. Sorry.
Just to quickly add to that about our career service, that I think someone's shared in the link to that we have a very active career service that organise a lot of activity and offer a lot of support to our students. We are one of the most targeted universities for employers as well. So there's a wealth of information to have a look at on there. And as students join us, and I know Chaitanya will probably say this as well, they're encouraged to kind of engage with these services and tools and resources as well.
Yeah, so what I would like to recommend is that for people who are coming here and who want to pursue a job right after their MSc is to come and speak to the career services over here. They're really very helpful, and they would, what I did in fact was that I got my CV and resume as well as a cover letter. I drafted it and they helped me prepare it, to be honest, and I use that to apply to companies. So they can make full use of the career services, and actually all the opportunities that are available are listed out there at Career Connect, which would really help the students. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question. Who are the top employers after completing Masters in International Business and Finance?
Sorry, what was the question? Sorry.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is, who are the top employers? Who are the top employers after completing a Masters in International Business and Finance?
So I think that's another course. So this particular course that we're talking about is the management of project suites, which are part of the Department of Mace Aerospace and Civil Engineering. That particular program is part of the Alliance Manchester Business School. If you go to their website, they have lots of information in terms of graduates employability, but for the purpose of this session, we can talk about students from the management of project program.
Thank you, Alison. The next question. I have 3 years of experience in management. Can I apply for Masters in Commercial Project Management, or is there any specialized course for 1 year duration?
Hi, so mainly look at the academic background. We favor academic background, but if you do have work experience, that means plus 5 years, then we recommend you email your CV to us and then get a better answer. So you could email your CV to us on our email address, mop.admissions.manchester.ac.uk.
And the next question, thank you, Rabia. The next question, is it still possible to apply for scholarship for the September intake?
So for the scholarships, we've shared the information for the scholarships because there are a number of scholarships that are available for postgraduate for this year, including the Engineering the Future scholarships, Global Futures as well. So for a lot of these scholarships, you don't need to apply. There's no application form. Students are automatically considered. So for Engineering the Futures, the decisions will be made in July. But what is important if you are keen to be considered is that you get an application in, because it will be the offer holders of these programs that will be considered for the scholarship.
Thank you, Alison. The next question, how should we apply for scholarship separately, or is it considered automatically when you apply via UCAS?
Okay, so as I say, it's for our scholarships, there's no application process. Students are automatically considered. So as long as they have an offer by the point those decisions will be made, they don't need to submit an application form for that.
Thank you. The next question, are there any offline management courses also available with the university for Indian students?
I'll take that one. We're not offering remote options for any of the management of projects suite of MSCs. We did do so under lockdown, but the courses that we are recruiting for at the moment are all on campus.
Thank you, Callum. The next question, hi, if I apply for September or Jan intake, how long it will take the university to reply?
Hi, so we work in admission cycle. So our courses are staged. So we have 4 stages at the moment, which we move you for next year. But for this year, we're on a stage 3 application admission cycle, which takes around, each stage takes around 2 to 3 months. So given on what date you apply, you will be put into stages. And then you should be able to hear back from us given the deadline of each stage, which is, again, 2 to 3 months.
Thank you, Rabia. Next question. Hi, Callum. Do you have information on average earning post completing your master's in management?
Yes, but not to hand. I wouldn't know without checking what the pass rates were. They are very high. They are exceptionally high because a lot of the assessments that we provide are ongoing assessments rather than just final exams. So the success rate is high, but I wouldn't be able to give you a number without checking.
Thank you, Callum. The next question. How well are students placed after studying MSc in management?
How well are they placed? Do you mean where do they rank?
Placements and job opportunities after the course.
Obux, do you have any further details on placements? I don't really get involved in placements.
I think what I can say around placement is, one, if you get involved in the industrial project, okay? So we often will have industrial projects, and students who take up that project or that option will be part of an industry project. So they can be assigned to an industry to do their dissertation, okay? We missed that this year because of the COVID-19, because last time we did it, everybody worked remotely, so there was no point going to the industry. But I think for your time, given the current improvement with COVID, I'm sure you will be assigned to the industry. And we also have opportunity to become a PhD researcher as well. Okay, so those who are interested in research will have the opportunity of being part of research groups within the department, where you can have opportunity to develop yourself and get involved with cutting-edge research investigations.
Thanks, Obooks. The next question. I'll complete my 12th this year. Can you please let me know how soon I can apply for a UG course? What is the admission process?
Hi, so before you please make sure that you complete your degree before the start date of the course. So if you're in your third year and you finish before September intake, before the course starts, then you should be able to apply in your last year and then submit the relevant details that you need via application form. You'll be known what we require. The guidance is on our website. So once you do come to apply online, the information is there what we need from you to complete a whole application form. But if you do need any more guidance, please email us at our admissions email address, which is in the chat. Thanks.
Thank you, Rabia. The next question. What are the job opportunities during the studies, like part-time jobs?
So students can work part-time. For the visa, they can work up to 20 hours a week part-time. What we would say, and there's opportunities to work part-time, and our career service can help with that. It's really that balance, I think. These are intense courses, so you need to think about what additional kind of activity you can take on outside of your studies. Chaitanya, do you have anything to kind of add to that as a current student?
Yeah, so there are opportunities here to work part-time. To be honest, some of them are listed on the career services, and you can just really go to any, if you're interested in working in retail or hospitality, you could really just go into any outlet and just drop in your CV. You could do that. But again, as Alison mentioned, it's all about creating a balance. If you're able to, the important thing is education, right? Everybody comes here to study. So the priority should be education and not to work part-time, or not to give more importance to that. So there are opportunities, but if they can create the right balance, I guess, yeah, it's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chaitanya and Alison. The next question. Is there any possibility or way out to get IELTS waiver for masters?
If you do have an Indian standard 12 qualification, we do accept that too, but dependent on the course, and if it's regional or national board, and this all the boards we accept from. So if it's a national board, it should be more than 80%, and if it's regional, it should be more than 85. So regional is 85 and national is 80%. Yeah. But please note that for next year this might change, and we might review our entry requirements completely for next year. But for this year, we do accept an Indian standard 12 from India applicant as well for English.
Thank you, Rabia. The next question. Do you think that a specific field of engineering must exist along with project management? For example, the course at Uni of Glasgow, MSc in Aerospace Engineering and Management. Now, would an aerospace company only want to consider students from this course? Or would they be open to hiring students from a general project management degree? Does a specialized course provide an advantage or any sort of?
I'll take that one. That's a very interesting question. I think 10 years ago, if you were doing a course in aerospace engineering, you would probably go into aerospace. And aerospace would demand something that was specific to their industry. I think that's changed a lot. I think that a lot more organizations now quite like the fact that people don't have industry experience as such, but they bring project management capability. So they're bringing new ideas, they're bringing in the general concepts of how projects are managed. As I said in my presentation, the world of project management is changing a lot. And my experience of even big employers like Rolls-Royce, I do a lot of work with Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce are looking at employing non-engineers as project managers. So people that have social science backgrounds, or people that have business backgrounds, some people that have arts backgrounds. And it's really just to bring diversity into the organization, but not just for the sake of diversity. It's about changing the future of a company. The world of projects is changing, and I think that the change comes through people that ask different questions. So yeah, I think that there will always be a case where having specialism is probably important, but I think that the employability aspects are that there will be much more opportunities for you as graduates if you don't have specific skill sets or you don't seek specific skill sets. I think that's changing a lot.
Thank you, Callum. The next question. Can I transfer my deposit amount? I got an unconditional offer from supply chain project management, and I also paid deposit for the same, but I have applied in consent project management. I don't know, it is consent, but he has written half spelling, CONST project management.
Hi, so if you have conditional for both courses, one of our courses as well, we can transfer your deposit to the course that you want to go for. You just have to drop us an email to let us know that you rather be doing this MSc instead of the other one, and you already paid deposit, and then we'll take it from there. And the email in the chat.
Thank you. I think you've already covered this question, but I'll take it if in case you want to add something more. Could IELTS requirement be waived off for MSc Management and Project if a candidate completed his/her bachelor's level education in India completely in English?
Sorry, I did want to add something to that as well. Thanks for asking the question again. So the standard 12, it should be no older than 7 years. If it's older than 7 years, it won't be accepted, even if they do meet the percentage in English.
Thank you, Rabia. The next question. What are the job opportunities after Masters in Architecture?
I don't think this is probably a question for this panel because the panel is for management of project. What we can do is share a link to the architecture course profile, which should give some more details for the student asking that question.
Thank you, Alison. The next question. I have two So the next question. I have two visa refusal. If it is a visit visa refusal, I want to know is that when I apply for UK student visa, so these refusal will affect my application, and how can I apply having these refusals for student visa?
We have a specialist visa advice team at the University of Manchester, so my advice would be to get in contact with them. We will put the information in the chat so the students can contact them directly to discuss that.
Yeah, I think I've covered all the questions from the chat box. Many thanks for answering all the questions so well and sharing your knowledge with us. We are now moving towards the end of this seminar. I would request if you have anything you want to put forward for the audience or like any final words you want to say to the audience who are watching us live right now.
I would just like to say thank you to everyone on the panel today for giving their time for the presentation. I myself found it really informative. So thank you to Callum and Obux, and from Admissions, Rabia, and our fantastic student as well, Chaitanya. It was really great to hear your story.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I thank you all for giving me this opportunity. It's really great to do this. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind words. To all the audience, if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact SIUK India offices. We'll be more than happy to help you. And in the end, thank you so much all for your valuable time today. Have a great day.